Welcome to Case Design, where design is elevated through sharing knowledge. I'm Tristan, and today I'll be introducing the next video for Frank Lloyd Wright. Now, I've already posted a few videos on YouTube. There's a video that I've already posted called How to Become a Licensed Architect, which is more tailored towards students and young professionals within the industry that are seeking to get their license. And I really don't feel like I've captured my personality through the camera. It's something that I'm still working on. I'm trying things a little bit differently this time. So let me know. I'm interested to get your thoughts. Do you think it's good? Now, I'm here today to introduce you to my next video on Frank Lloyd Wright. Now, Frank Lloyd Wright, if you don't know, is a world famous architect who designed a number of houses. He invented the prairie style of architecture and some really fantastic buildings like the Guggenheim Museum in New York City uh, and the Falling Water House in Bear Run, Pennsylvania. And a number of these resources that I reread and went through since I was a student, in addition to this really great resource on YouTube, you can go online for free and watch documentaries on Frank Lloyd Wright. You can even watch tours in some of his houses and buildings that he designed for free, which is a fantastic resource if you haven't tapped into it yet. But a theme that I've seen throughout these different resources is that a lot of times they take on Frank Lloyd Wright's checkered history with his family and his personal life, as well as his buildings and how those dualities come together in his influence. But I'm interested in the time that Frank Lloyd Wright practiced and the issues of the time and how they influenced him to design what he did. Frank Lloyd Wright lived in a time where he left Wisconsin to move to Chicago to look for work a few years after the Great Fire of Chicago. So there's a huge influx in the city for architects and designers moving to help rebuild and revitalize this area after the devastating fire that took place. In addition, the Columbian Exposition was getting ready in 1893. So you also had this huge influx of people designing for this Columbian Exposition that was being led by Daniel Burnham, and it was captured fantastically in the book Devil in the White City. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. So Chicago is this kind of melting pot with all these designers and architects coming together, experimenting, trying new things. Now the technology of building exploded with buildings becoming higher and higher. At the time, Jenny's office was experimenting with high rise. Now, Otis had invented the elevator a few decades before, but is really being used within these high rises now. So it's changing the entire landscape of the city. At the same time, Chicago was going through a huge issue with an E. coli outbreak because the sanitation of the city was really not great. A lot of the waste from the city was just flowing from the river into Lake Michigan, where that's where they get their drinking water from. And so this contamination was making a lot of people sick. And the city was trying to figure out a way to solve this problem. A few ways that they approached this was to literally jack up the buildings, the existing buildings, about 4 feet, so that you could run sanitation pipes below. Also, they diverted the Chicago River so that it literally flowed in the opposite direction. So it flowed towards the Mississippi River rather than into Lake Michigan. And so the Chicago's approach to solving these problems was to literally overcome nature. They built the buildings higher so that the natural swampy terrain of Chicago would just kind of flow underneath these buildings. And literally changing the flow of the river to overcome the sanitation problem. Frank Lloyd Wright approached this very differently. His design for the prairie style was to be one with nature, right? To design within the confinements of nature. And so his Oak Park design of the Roby House, a number of his houses that he designed within this style was intended to let light in, to express the flow of water. And so I'm really interested in understanding what confinements and what environment Frank Lloyd Wright was designing in, because that's a really rich lesson to learn from Frank Lloyd Wright in his time and apply it to what we're working with today. There's a number of forest fires occurring right now in the California area. It's devastating thousands of acres of land and structures. There's the sneezy McCough that's going on now that nobody really knows how this is going to influence our industry. How are hotels and schools and multifamily residential projects, how are people going to be using these spaces differently? And how can we design these project types differently moving forward? We live in a very tumultuous time, just like Frank Lloyd Wright did. And it's going to be so interesting in how we can adapt these structures to what we have to accommodate in the future. Maybe office buildings aren't going to be used like they were before. Maybe people are going to be more inclined working from home in the future. Now, I'm extremely interested in getting more into the details of Frank Lloyd Wright's history and understanding what the environmental impacts and influences were on his work. And that'll be in the next video. Now, if you've enjoyed this video and you're excited about the next, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Tristan from Case Design, where we provide content on various topics in architecture. The content developed for this channel is tailored to viewers like you and encourage your participation by providing comments and questions below. If you've enjoyed watching and participating, please hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next episode.